cutting-edge fields are very, very important and relevant. It helps humanity to make progress and step forward. My name is Boglatka. I study computer science with AI specializations, and I'm from Hungary.
I'm Ken. I'm studying atmospheric sciences, and I'm from Japan.
My name is Daniel, and I'm studying cybersecurity, and I'm from Austria.
My name is Ibrahim. I'm studying computer science, specifically artificial intelligence, and I'm from Egypt.
My name's Linda. I'm a PhD student in electrical engineering, and I'm from Ecuador.
Ever since I was a small child, I was fascinated about the new technology from the US.
Whether it's from a big company or a new groundbreaking research finding, the US was always involved in producing cutting-edge technologies. So wanting to study cutting-edge fields in the US, it was a no-brainer.
There's a huge potential in AI and applying it in different fields of our lives. I've been doing research in applying artificial intelligence, machine learning-based tools and software to aid diagnosis and personalized medicine, ultimately.
Studying in the US has given me the freedom to choose what I want because of the breadth of options available. And for me personally, my care goes towards creatives and using AI to give them the best tools to achieve their vision.
I'm studying atmospheric sciences. I use numerical models, many different kinds of simulations to predict and quantify the change in the climate.
I'm really excited about the field of cybersecurity. That means I try to find solutions for cutting-edge cybersecurity threats in the future, preserve the consumer's privacy while innovating and developing new software.
I wanted to find universities that have a strong research center in intelligent transportation. And my favorite part about studying the US is that everyone has this mindset of doing things better and improving technology.
In my opinion, the US is the best place to study cutting-edge fields because you have this hub of innovation that produces the technology we're going to use today and in the future.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our today's session. There are so many of you guys. We really appreciate that you've connected and you are really interested about our today's topic. My name is Alina Yakubov, and I'm here again with another interesting webinar that we have prepared for you, that the Education USA virtual team have prepared for you. And today we're going to talk about one of the most popular topics about CSS Profile specifically, but I would just like to mention that Education USA Virtual is here to offer you monthly webinars with useful topics, with useful information about your preparation and research process for studies in the US. And we have very skilled advisors in our region that can help you during this process. So in case if you are interested, in case if you need our help, please leave here your comments, leave here your questions. We're going to try to answer all of them during this webinar. Today, we're going to dedicate the time specifically to CSS Profile. And as you remember from our last webinar, our speaker is Matthew from College Board. So Matthew, I'll give you the floor. And I'm super excited about our today's presentation. I'm more than sure that it's going to take a long time. So you guys feel free to ask any question that is related to that. So use this opportunity. Matthew will allow time for the presentation, and then we are going to concentrate on questions. So Matthew, welcome. Thank you once again for participating in that.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. And thank you for everybody for joining today. I know that this is a topic that a lot of students have interest in. And it's also one that is kind of complex. So I am here to help kind of explain what CSS Profile is, how it works, and how exactly you can apply. So what we'll do is just explain it, how to get started, what are some of the resources that you need in order to be successful in filling out CSS Profile, and lastly, what are all the requirements? This is an application for financial aid in the United States. So it has a lot of things that it asks you. It gets really, really detailed about everything. So it's important that you know what we're going to be asking you before you come and start the application. So CSS Profile, what is it? It's a global application for financial aid. Universities all across the United States have financial aid for its students. That's both merit-based, which means based on how well you do in school, and financial need-based, which is how much you may have strains or lack of resources in being able to apply for colleges. In the United States, we use something called FAFSA, and that is what US passport holders or American citizens use to apply to universities. The good thing about the CSS profile is that it can be used by international applicants. So you can report your income and asset data in your home currency, and that'll be converted into US dollars. I will say right now that this is for about 300 colleges, universities, programs, and scholarships currently that use it. So it is not the majority of the universities in the United States. I would take a look before you do almost anything else at the list of universities that accept the CSS profile and see if the one that you want to apply to or the ones that you want to apply to is. Otherwise, this is not going to help you. So you can begin the CSS profile, your application on October 1st for the upcoming academic year. So if you are a 11th grader now and you're going to be applying for universities in the United States next year, starting this October 1st, so we already a few days into it, you are already ready and you can start applying for the CSS profile if you wanted to. Right up front, we can let you know that the cost for it is $25 for the initial application. So if you want to apply to just one university, that'll be $25 for the application, and we'll send that to the university. And then it's $16 for every additional school report. So one of the best parts about CSS Profile is that you can apply to many schools at once. So if all 5 of the universities that you want to apply to are all ones that accept the CSS Profile, you can save yourself a lot of time by using the CSS Profile. As I mentioned just a couple minutes ago, the CSS Profile is very complex because we need to have a complete financial picture of you, and that is a financial picture of a student that a university in the United States has less familiarity with. You may live in Serbia. You may live in Georgia. The way that this economy and the government is set up there can be a little bit unique. And so we have a bunch of questions to ask you, all types of things, to make sure that we're capturing everything about your financial life. Income, assets, expenses. I'll explain more, but it is a very complete picture of everything having to do with your financial life and that of your parents and guardians. So how do you know which schools require CSS Profile? You can check the school's website to see what they require. And you can also take a list of the participating schools and scholarships at cssprofile.org. Again, I would highly recommend that you do this. I don't want you to go through all of the work of filling out this profile, and then the school that you're most interested in applying to doesn't even take it. So know that from the start. Here is what the website looks like. When you went to cssprofile.org, you will have right there on the bottom left where you can check for participating schools and scholarships. In the middle, you can see all the instructions for applying that we're going to go through. And then lastly, information for parents. So if you have a parent who's going to be applying for this financial aid on your behalf, this is where they can sign. This is where they can come in. Everything that I'm going to talk about today, everything that you're going to need is all going to be on this one website. You can see all the other stuff on the top right-hand side as well. So, like I said, you click here and see what schools are participating. We have a very nice list here. Every year we got a new one. Good news for you, if you want to go to my alma mater, if you want to go to the place that I went to university, the American University, they accept the CSS Profile. You can see it right there on the chart that is one of the schools that it is listed there. Boston College, Baylor University, these are all ones at Barnard College. They're all ones that accept, but make sure that you see on this list here which ones are actually participating. And this is where you want to see, do they accept international students as well? So not only do they participate, but do they accept applications from international students, which most of them do. Great. So then you're going to come here to applications and complete the application. It'll show you all the instructions here of where to fill out. And you can scroll down and see all the hints that you need. Everything is very nicely in order here. It's all very clearly explained under the instructions. Here is for international applicants where you're going to want to apply, since you guys all live outside the United States, I believe. And then you'll have the specific information for international students all right here. Here are frequently asked questions that may come up. Maybe some of them are ones that we're going to answer today, but even if later, if you're applying and something comes up, this is a good place to check because oftentimes people have the same questions. So we are now in the fall of 2025, spring of 2026. That is the range of date that you're going to be applying for, since this is for the next calendar year. So you'll sign in there. You will need to create a student account for College Board if you don't have one already. This is just an email and a password that you come up with. It can be your own personal email. This is the same one that you would use if you have taken an SAT test with us. If you are enrolled in an AP course, it would be that same account. And that's where you would sign in. Everything that you do on College Board is all with the same student account. So then you'll be here and you'll actually be in the application, and you're going to start filling out all of your personal information. When you were born, and we're going to get very, very quickly to some very personal information about you that we're going to need. What is your citizenship? Are you a United States citizen? Are you a foreign citizen, etc.? And then we're going to need to know where you live, and we're going to need to know your marital status. So this is all for a student whose name is Sarah. And you can kind of see this is the basic information that we come through. And then very, very quickly, we're going to want to know which country your parents live in. And I'm going to get into more detail about this, because not everyone in this world's parents, or by parent, I mean the person who takes care of you, not every person's parents is their biological mother and father. People live in very complex living situations, and that's totally fine. We're going to ask for all of that. You may live with a grandparent. You may live with an adopted parent. You may live with an aunt or uncle. That's totally fine. We just need to know where they live, and so we can see which kind of currency we're going to be converting, whether it's going to be Azerbaijani manat or Turkish lira. We just need to know that from the start. So regardless of whether you are married, regardless of how old you are, we need to know your parents' income, their assets, which means if they own a home, if they own a farm, if they own stocks, and all of their other household information on the CSS profile. We need to have, the way that it's just set up is we need to have parental information. And again, parent is the person who takes care of you, not who is your biological father or mother. If your parents are divorced or separated, we're going to ask you who provides the majority of financial support. So let's say your parents are divorced and you live with your father, and your mother doesn't pay for anything in your life. She's not really around. You don't have a very close connection with her. You would basically put all the information for your father, and then you may have to have your mother still submit a CSS profile as a non-custodial parent. And then if your father in that situation had remarried, then their new partner would also have to fill out a CSS profile. Like I said, we want information about everyone involved in your life. So this is where you would put it all. And like I said, the parent section is going to ask you basic information, and they're going to say, what's your relationship? Father, mother, stepfather, legal guardian, other. It's very, very open to whatever your situation might be. Similarly, so you can see here, we put Jennifer and John Acorn, and we're saying that what's their relationship? Are they married? Are they divorced? Are they living together? We ask any type of situation that could possibly be. It's very open. So we'll say these people are divorced. So then if they're divorced, we need to know which parent they are providing more than half of the financial support for you. So we'll get all the information about which parent here is the main parent, who's providing most of the financial support if they are divorced, et cetera, et cetera. If there is another parent, we're gonna have to enter their email address, and then we will send them information so they can fill out the CSS profile as well. And then we're going to need to know all of your parents' tax return status. So like I said, every country has a different system for how they collect taxes. And that's fine. We are going to need the actual documentation. We're going to need you to actually upload a document. If it's in a language other than English, you will have to get it translated, and you'll upload both the original and the translation, any information about the taxes your parents pay to the government of the country that they live in. And it'll be in the local currency. But that is something that you are going to need to reply. And this is where it'll be. You will upload it. It needs to be information for the year 2023 or the year 2024. It'll ask you. But we basically need to see their general information. How much taxes do they pay to the government? What was their income? What was their job? Those types of things. We're going to need those documents in English uploaded. And then we're also going to need to know and have documents for, probably from a bank, any information that any money that your parents may have earned from a bank account, such as a savings account that gathers interest, or if you get shares from a company, that's called dividends. We need to know about that. If your parents own a business, if they own a restaurant, if they own a construction company, we're also going to need to know the net income from those businesses and partnerships. Like I said at the beginning, we ask for a lot of information, and we're going to need to know the actual amount for it. If your parents own any real estate, if they own a second summer home, we're going to need to know about that. And if they own a farm, we will need to know about the income that they make from that farm. How much money do your parents make growing pumpkins? We need to know that. Again, here is more information all about your taxes, withholdings, set-asides, all the numbers. We're going to need the sources and the amounts for the taxes that are withheld. You're going to need to do your best to provide the most accurate information that you can. You're not going to go to jail if you don't provide the absolute most accurate information, but it can affect your applications to school. So you really need to be careful about this, spend as much time as possible, make sure you're providing to us so that we can provide to universities the most accurate information about everything having to do with you and your parents and money on this application. If you are expecting a significant change from your income, you can also select that and say that. So like if one of your parents lost their job, or if one of their parents was working at a hotel, but now they've finished their degree and now they're going to move and they're going to become a doctor, we need to know that as well. The significant change to either one of your parents' income in the next year, that's an aspect that we'll ask about. We need to know about your housing. Do you and both of your parents live in the same house? Do they rent it? Do they own it? When was it purchased? How much is it purchased for? How much is it worth now? How much is owed on the house? Like I said, everything about the house that you live in, everything about your financial life. Your parents' assets. So this means like, do they own businesses? Do they own own shares? Do they own a bunch of money in a shoebox underneath their mattress? We need to know all of these things. And then we need to know about your expenses. Like, are you getting educational expenses? So are you going to be getting a scholarship from the government of your own country? That could also have make a difference whether or not the university is going to be more inclined to give you financial aid or not. If the government of trying to pick a new country here, Romania, is going to pay for 90% of your college, well, then the college needs to know that because they're probably not going to give you as much money. So we'll need to know that as well. And that's what this is right here. Tuition benefits. So are you going to be getting a scholarship from a government? Are you going to be given money from a business? Sometimes a business will send you to college if the exchange that you'll come back and work for them. Are you getting a gift from a grandparent? Anything that could be used as money to pay for your college, you will need to add here. There are also a great section here for special circumstances. I know that a lot of the questions that you guys are going to have are going to be about particular, very specific circumstances in your life. We try our best to cover that and give you a lot of space. Whether something happened with an employment of you or your parents, whether you've got medical debt, if you've got support that you need to support other people in your family, if you're and anything else, we give you an entire paragraph here. You can basically write an essay and explain to the university special circumstances. When we get to the question and answer section, you guys are going to ask me a lot of specific questions, and the answer most of the time is going to be this section here. This is where you can fill out specific circumstances to you and your life that cannot be captured or explained very clearly using the form that we have it, okay? This is the space where you can do that. And then lastly, this is the agreement that you sign. Everything on this application is true and complete to the best of my knowledge. You get to me your best effort to provide everything you possibly can about your financial life. You will agree to give proof that you've given this application. It may be a copy of the federal, state, provincial, or local income tax returns, bank statements, or other documentation. So you may not be required to upload information about your parents' shares or bank statements at this moment, but you should find them and you should get them ready, and you should think about getting them notarized, because it is totally possible that these universities are going to come back and ask you for that information. And if you can't provide actual copies and proof of the things that you've put on your CSS application, then that's going to be a problem, okay? If there's any significant changes to the information that you put in this application initially, you promise that you will send information to these universities that you have applied for, letting them know that there's been a number of changes. So these are all parts of the agreement that you need to sign when you are filling out the CSS profile, okay? Here's where you're going to pay for it. You can pay for it with a credit card or a debit card. Sometimes a college or scholarship program may provide you with a payment code, like a free payment code, so that you don't have to pay for the CSS profile. This is where you would enter it. So you can see here what the total cost would be and everything that you need to do to pay for the CSS profile to have it sent off. And then once you do submit it, you'll be able to check back here on the dashboard and see exactly how it's going. Have they been reviewed? Have they been set up? And if you need to make any changes, if anything sudden happens in your life, this is where you'll be able to submit changes. If you have any questions while you're dealing with this, we do have a number specifically for international students you can call and get information. It's 212-299-0096. But I would request that you do check the frequently asked questions first. And a lot of the support documents that we have online, most of your questions have already been answered. You just have to spend 5 minutes looking for it on the internet, on our website. And that is an overview of the CSS profile. I'm happy to take questions right now, but that is a general overview of how it looks and how it works. And best of luck to you all. I know that this is an important part of your applying for universities.
Yeah, we already have a bunch of them. Okay, we were expecting that. Thank you so much, Matthew. I'll start with the questions that we have received actually before the start of this webinar. So for the students that have pre-registered for this webinar, and one of them was, is it true that some university can provide us with CSS profile fee waiver? Actually, you've mentioned that, but we can specify that once again, I think.
Yeah, that is true. They would, again, provide you with a code, and you would input that code at the end of the application when it came time to pay. Now, that would probably cover the cost of the application for that university. But if you wanted to apply for other universities in addition to that university, you would still probably have to both put in the code and then also pay a credit card for the rest of it.
Okay, perfect. Then the next one, what to put here? List the sources and amounts for the taxes and withholdings amount entered above.
Yeah, so again, every country is different, but there should basically be a tax document which shows how much you pay in taxes to the government. So in the United States, you pay taxes to the federal government, which means like the US government. You also pay to the state that you live in. You may even pay to the city. And so this will all come on one piece of paper, one document that'll explain basically all the breakdown, how much you're paying for each program, how much you're paying for all the different taxes. And that is basically the document that you will use to do the equivalent or the same thing for the country that you live in.
Okay, thanks. It makes sense. And now we're going to go to the questions that we have received during this live. So the first one is, hi, if my parents are divorced, can I fill in the CSS profile only about my mom's finances?
You will, like I said briefly during the presentation, yes, your mother is probably the one that you're going to be giving most of the information for. She's the one who financially supports you. I actually call my mother Mum too, so I appreciate the way that you wrote this question. But we will ask for your father's email address, because even if he's not supporting you financially, we still need to connect with him and get some questions and basically have him also say, no, I do not support this student financially. So you need to at least have your father's email address so that you can put it on the application.
Okay, it makes sense. Then the next one, when entering student housing, should I choose live with others if the student lives with his or her family but does not own their house and is dependent on parents' income?
Yeah. So I'm from the question. I'm going to guess that your parents also don't own their house, that they rent their house. You'll just say that your parents rent your house. That is an option for housing. So you'd probably just put on the application how much they pay for rent. And again, we assume that you're not a fully adult yet, so it makes sense that your parents are the ones who are paying for the housing and then for the rent. So that would be a normal part of the application. Nothing special that you need to do to claim that your parents rent an apartment or a house.
Okay, good. Then the next one, do I need to fill in the schools right away, or can I submit them gradually?
You can submit them gradually, but you will, before you submit the application, need to have the list of all the schools that we're sending it to, because we send it off automatically once the application is complete.
Okay. What if my parent didn't marry, but she has a partner?
That's also totally fine. There is space on the CSS application for someone if they live together or if they're just dating. If your parent, that partner that they have helps support you financially, then we need to know information about them. If they don't support you financially, we still need to know that they exist.
Okay, good. The next question comes from Marina. As for dividends and income from parents' business, do I have to mark this income if my family would earn it on it until 2017?
I believe that we need to ask for the last couple of years of your financial life. So 2017 is probably too far back. The government, or sorry, universities don't need to know what my parents made in 1995. Doesn't really matter. It's basically what's your financial situation now. We will ask about your total income or your total value. So if your parents made money in 2017 and they put it all in the bank and it's sitting there as $1 million in the bank, we need to know about that. But we don't need to know if they made that money if they still don't have it anymore. It doesn't matter. If that makes sense.
Okay. Then the next one, if the house belongs to my grandmother and we don't pay any rent, what option should I choose?
I would probably put other and say that you don't pay any rent, or the rent is zero. And then you can probably, in the explanation part at the end of your application, just say one small note about the house. We live rent free in my grandparents' house.
Okay. Then another question, a long one. If part of the university total cost will be covered by a parent's employment company and another part by the parent itself, while asking the university to pay for the remaining part, does that decrease the chances of getting financial aid since the parent's company covers some of it? Wow.
It will. But let me tell you something that's really important. This is one of the reasons why I really love to give this talk to students. Very few universities in very few situations, very uncommon, is a university going to pay 100% for an international student to go to university. On average, for an international student, if they're getting financial aid, it's going to only cover about 11% of the total cost of education. And so most likely, if your parents' employment is helping to pay for the university, that's going to be a lot more helpful than what you're going to get from the university. So even if it does decrease the amount that the university may give you, it's definitely worth still getting it from your company, because that's a really great source of support for your university. So that's a long way of saying, tell the truth, take that money from your parents' company. It'll help you, but it may also decrease the amount that the university be willing to give you.
Okay, thank you. Then the next question, I wonder what I should do after being accepted into an MA program and awarded both a merit-based and need-based scholarship by the university. How can I find additional scholarships or sponsorships to receive the I-20? I have a 60% tuition scholarships. I think that's a question that is not related to the CSS profile. You can definitely let us a note and we can discuss that separately, or if you have your Education USA advisors you are in touch with, you can also reach out to them. But there, I just can add here that that's your own research. We cannot definitely say to you that you can find a scholarship or a sponsorship instantly. So it's a huge part of research. I can suggest also at this moment you can browse the educationusa.org website. So there you can also find some scholarships which are available, like small scholarships, bigger scholarships. And in case if you have been already admitted to an university specifically, maybe you can also reach to their financial office or to their admission commission, maybe asking if they can offer something additional. So I'm going to stop on this because it's a long talk here, definitely.
I agree with you.
Okay, good. So the next question. Thanks. So the next question, sorry, I cannot show it on the screen.
How to receive a fee payment code. Is that the one that
how to receive fee payment code? But I think that's the fee waiver that we have spoken.
Yeah, you would get that from a sponsorship, from a scholarship, or you'd get that from the university. It wouldn't be something that College Board would give you.
Perfect. Then, if the applicant has Common App application, why she will need to add school report to CSS Profile?
So Common App is for applying for the university. So to get into the university, to be a student there. The CSS Profile is this different application for financial aid. So you would actually want to apply for both if you were looking to receive financial aid to go to university, to the universities that you're applying for with the Common App.
Okay, makes sense. Does the family income document need to be officially certified, or is a regular translation of the document acceptable?
I would get a notarized translation of it, to be careful. Because this is a sensitive financial document and they're awarding you money for it, they may require that it be notarized. Different universities might have different standards, but you might as well just do it so that there's no problems.
Okay. If I need to provide tax documents for the last 3 years, from which to which date I need to provide it?
That would be just this upcoming school year, so 2025 minus 3. So going back to like 2022.
Okay. Does the translation of, okay, I think we answered this one. So you've said that's better to be notarized. Then the next question, if me and my parents live in an own house by my adult sibling and we don't pay rent, does that change anything?
Same situation. You would basically put that the rent for your house was 0, and then in the explanation section, you would say that you live rent-free with an adult sibling.
Good. Then the next question, my parents are divorced. I live with my mother. I have no contact with my father and know nothing about him. How should I act in this case? So you were saying about an email address, but what if the father doesn't have actually an email address or
if you don't have an email address, and you would put in the explanation at the end, say like, I have no contact with my father. He doesn't provide financially. I wasn't able to contact him.
Good to know. Then another question, list the sources and the amounts for the taxes and withholds amount entered above. Do I need to name the tax and how much money was spent? For example, military tax.
Yeah, so I believe you'll put the full number, and then that'll be on the actual tax document at the end where it actually breaks it down.
Okay, good. Then the next question, sorry, I'm curious, loans count as expenses as well, right?
Yeah, loans will be something that we'll need to know about as well.
Okay, the next question, do I need to submit the CSS profile every year? That's a good question, actually. Until you're not getting accepted, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Once you get into a university, you'll continue to apply for financial aid with them every year, but you'll only be applying for that one university, and so you'll just apply directly with them. You won't need CSS profile anymore.
Okay. If my parents are immigrants and I live with my grandmother and my sibling, but parents support us from foreign country, how can I enter this in my CSS application? That's a great question, I think.
So you put your grandmother as your parent, and they would just be your only parent. You provide the financial information about how they support you financially, and then and then you actually, so you put your grandmother and then also your parents, all 3 of them as your parents. So you can have more than 2 parents. Each one of these 3 people are supporting you financially, so they all count as parents. And then you basically just display that, like, my first parent is my grandmother. My second parents, they live in another country. And then you would again explain all the details in the section at the end. But there is an opportunity for you to say, like, my principal parent is my grandmother. My secondary and tertiary parents are my biological parents. They live in another country. But even though they live in another country, you would still list their income or any financial contribution to you in your local currency.
Okay. And would that mean that they would have to provide the bank statements in case if the parents would just transfer those money and they would just need to upload that information, I guess. Okay, makes sense. Thank you. Can I first Can I first submit my early action decision schools and after some weeks regular entry schools? But I think that's kind of more related.
I would put them through all the universities at once.
Okay, thanks. I wasn't asked for any documents regarding my family's income. Will they request them after I enroll in the university?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's good to have them because they'll ask for them later.
Good. When putting down the information about family assets, do we only put parents or siblings as well?
If your siblings contribute financially to your family's finances, then yes, you need to put your siblings as well, if they're like working full-time or if they're older.
Okay, thank you. My parents officially do not work. We have business and my grandparents own that. So can I put my grandparents' income?
Mm-hmm. You'll still list your parents, but you're going to put your grandparents' income, and they'll be kind of your primary parents as financially supporting you.
Good. How can CSS Profile officers ensure the emails are real and not managed by the student?
They're going to email those people and they're going to wait for a response. And if they don't hear back from them, then they're not real emails.
Okay, good. Then I think that's one of the last questions that we have. For which years should I report my family's income and expenses on the CSS Profile, and how should I do it? For example, if I pay for online courses, should those expenses also be included?
Anything having to do with money and you in the last year or two should go on the CSS Profile.
Okay. Then one more question. If my grandfather helps my mother financially, should I write my grandfather as a parent?
You got it, Nutsa. That's exactly what you should do.
Good. I think that's something unusual, though. That's why the students are like really, you know, surprised by the fact that they should name their grandparents as parents.
I do really like the CSS Profile because, you know, my parents are divorced and my situation was unique, and I really appreciate that we accept that people have all different types of situations. Everyone has different ways of living with different people in their lives, so no problem at all.
Guys, address some more question. We can still stay here for like 10 more minutes. So one more question here we have from Elena. My father is a priest and he doesn't have an official income. He lives off of donations. How do I put that?
You would put the total amount of donations as his income, and then in the explanation you would say that he's a priest and he lives off of donations.
Okay, good. That's good to know. Okay, so I think we are done almost with all the questions.
Okay.
I hope, guys, that you've had the chance to submit all of them.
And like I said, almost anything that you could ask for, you can either get off the frequently asked questions, or you can always call our hotline as well. And I'm happy to take any questions like later, Alina, if you like gathered them and wanted to send to me, I can always answer them and send them back to you if they weren't answered later, or a student thinks about them once we get off the call. Definitely. Okay, 2 more questions. So about the donations, total donations in a year? In a year.
Yeah. Okay, good. One more question. Tax 3 years question. Which to which month? Like start from January or October?
January.
January. Good. Yeah, I think the students are like now working on a speed addressing those questions. But as Matthew said, guys, you can definitely let them after we finish with this live, and we'll get back to it with the answers. You can also email us. You can find our email address on our website. So at this moment, I think we are done with all the questions. We're done with the presentation. I'm more than sure that the students really enjoyed it, because I've seen a lot of people who are watching us live today. And I'm so grateful and so thankful that you allow time to watch us. I hope that all this information will be useful to you. And I want to thank you, Matthew, once again for allowing time presenting all these interesting topics. And
pleasure.
To you guys, I wish you a lot of good luck. I know that this is a very challenging path with the CSS Profile, because I mean, we as Education USA advisors are getting a lot of questions about that. So thank you, Matthew, once again. Thank you, everyone that watched us today. You can watch this video after. It's going to be on a lot of social media platforms. And in case if you have additional questions, please leave them in the comment sections. We'll get back to you with the answers. And good luck with your applications.
Yeah, good luck to everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.